Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about conversions, more specifically conversion time frames. So if you have a term policy, there's a good chance that your policy is convertible, and if you're not sure if it's convertible or not, contact your agent or contact the company to find out. But many term policies these days are convertible. So what that means is that at the end of your term or somewhere during the course of the term while your policy is in force, you can convert that policy over to whole life coverage or one of their other whole life products. And the way it typically works is that as you're paying into your policy, the money that you pay over the years, when it comes time to convert that policy, those premiums pay for what's called a reduced paid up whole life policy. So let's just say you had a $100,000 policy, and at the end of the 30 years or 20 years or whatever your term period was, the company will take the money that you paid into it and do the figures and see how much whole life coverage those premiums will pay for. And you can convert that policy into whole life. So let's just base it off a quote that I did for a client the other day. I did a quote for $100,000 in coverage, and at the end of this was a 20-year term policy. At the end of that 20-year term, if the client decided to convert that policy to whole life, the amount of whole life coverage she would be able to purchase would have been $98,000, which isn't bad, because a lot of times you lose about a quarter of the coverage. I did another one recently, also for $100,000, which was a 30-year term policy. It was with a different company, and if the client decided to convert that policy at the end of the 30 years, they were going to have $71,000 in reduced paid up whole life coverage. So I like policies that are built that way, because at the end of the term, if you don't want the coverage anymore, you can just no longer have the coverage. Some of those policies allow you to get the premiums that you paid back in a refund. I'm sorry, I rode through a festival, so I'm going to stop talking for a second. Okay, it should be a little easier to hear me now. So some of the way some of those convertible policies work is that at the end of the term, you get the option to either get the money that you paid into it back, or you can convert it over to whole life. So it's like a win-win situation. You have nothing to lose. Not all policies work that way. Some policies you don't get the option to get the money back, but you can convert it over to a whole life policy. Now, the topic of this, like I said, was more specifically the conversion time frames. Because let's just say you're 48 and you get coverage with a company that allows you to get a 30-year term. And the reason why I say allows you to get a 30-year term, because some companies have a cutoff age. Let's just say you're 70. At the age of 70, you're not going to find, I'm not going to say definitely not going to find, because different companies do different things, but it would be shocking to me if at the age 70 you found a company that would write you a 30-year term policy. Most companies, after a certain age, they may only allow you to get a 20-year policy, a 20-year term policy, or like at 70 you may only be able to get a 10 or 15-year term policy. So it depends on the age at issue, what term you're able to get with many of the companies. So at 48, let's just say you get a 30-year term policy. most companies have a cutoff age that they allow you to convert your policy. So, and majority of the time that age is 75. So if you're purchasing a term policy at the age of 78, you just need to be mindful that even though your term may be 30 years, if you think that you may be interested in the conversion policy, you would need to convert that policy by the age of 75. So that's something that I think needed to be covered in a video, because a lot of people just know, oh, I can convert this policy. I can convert this policy at the end of the term, and typically, ideally, that's the way it will work. You can convert your policy at the end of the 30-year term or the 20-year term, but you have to be careful to make sure you know what the cutoff time is. So, of course, if you're 60 and you have a 30-year term policy and the cutoff age is 75 to convert it, you're good, because you'll be if you're 30 and you get a 30-year term policy, at the end of your term you'll only be 60, so you fall way below that convertible age cutoff. But be mindful when you're getting these term policies with the option to convert, just read through the policy once you receive it in the mail, or ask your agent, because it's all spelled out for you. It's written out in the policy what the cutoff time period is when you can convert the policy. But I decided to do this video because I wouldn't want someone who's 47 purchasing a policy, a 30-year term policy, and they wait till the end of the 30 years and they're now 77, but the cutoff age to convert the policy was 75, and now they can't convert it to whole life coverage. So because a lot of times we don't read our policies. A lot of times, our agent does whatever explaining they're going to do, and we just go off that. We may ask a few questions, but we don't read it in its entirety. And those are the kind of things that we can miss if we don't read it. So I figured I would cover it in a video. Also, if you have a policy that is convertible, read through your policy or ask your agent if it's not one of the policies that at the end of the term, once you convert it, you don't have to pay any more premiums, because there are policies, and those are my favorite kind of policies, that once you convert them over, you have coverage for life and you don't have to pay any more premiums. I prefer policies that work that way, because it's like you've paid it up, you're done with it, and you're straight. You have coverage for life. But not all policies work that way. Some of them, you convert them after the term and you have whole life coverage. However, you still have to pay premiums monthly, and it's broken down inside of your policy how much those premiums are going to be after the initial time frame. So the way it works is, if you have a 30-year policy, your premium will stay the same. With most companies, your premium will stay the same from the date of issue until the end of that 30-year or 20-year or 15-year, whatever your term period is. The premiums will never go up. Unless you do something like you now have a more dangerous job, but that's a whole other topic in itself that I believe I covered before. But those premiums will stay the same for the length of your term. But if you opt to convert that policy to whole life, some policies you still have to pay a premium, and that premium won't be the same as it was for the first 30 years. So look through your policy or speak with your agent to find out, after your initial 30 years, how much will you have to pay if you convert the policy. Those are two very important things to know. And a lot of people don't ask those questions. They don't think to ask. They don't know to ask. And a lot of people don't read their policies in its entirety. So this pretty much sums up what I wanted to cover in this video. So it's 3 things I want you to, it's homework. Oh my goodness, the neighborhood insurance lady is giving us homework. No, but this is homework for your own benefit. So these are the things that I want you to do for your homework. If you have a term policy, I want you to find out if it's convertible or not. If you don't already know, find out if it has the option for you to convert it to whole life. If you do have the option to convert it to whole life, find out what the time frame is for you to convert it. Find out what the age cutoff is for you to convert it, and find out if at the after you convert the policy, if you still have to pay premiums after it's converted. Those are the things that I want you to find out. And there's one other thing. If you have a 30-year policy, and with most quoting tools, when we're doing a quote, we're able to tell you at the end of the 30-year term how much coverage you'll be able to purchase once the 30 years or the 20 years is up, how much in coverage you'll be able to have if you convert it to whole life. Now that is just like with everything, it's just a quote, because there may be some things that would change it, like if you took out a policy loan or something like that, or if you were behind in a few payments. Of course, stuff like that would be deducted from the amount of coverage you're able to purchase. But at the time of the quote, we're typically able to tell you how much coverage you would be able to convert it to if you convert it over the whole life. However, keep in mind that if you have a 30-year term and you decided after 20 years you want to convert it at the 20-year mark, the amount that was quoted to you is not the same amount of coverage that you would get if you convert it to at year 20. It's going to be a little less because you've paid less into it. So those are some things I want you to keep in mind. I may run a quote for you today and I say, at the end of your 30 years, if you convert this policy, you will have $75,000 worth of whole life coverage. But that's based on a 30-year term. But if you convert that policy at year 15, it's not going to be that $75,000 worth of coverage, because it's you've only accumulated a certain amount of money to pay for that whole life coverage, So those are some other things. If you decide that you're going to convert a policy over and it hasn't been the full term period, don't say, well, my agent lied to me. She said that this is the amount of coverage I was going to be able to purchase. Keep in mind that if you convert it sooner than the 30 years or the 20 years or whatever your term period is, it's not going to be the same amount of coverage that was quoted to you. And when we're doing the quotes, it's only based on the amount of coverage that you would be able to purchase at the end of the term. It doesn't show us at the 10-year mark, this is how much coverage they would be able to buy, or at the 20-year mark, this is the amount of coverage they would be able to buy. It only shows us the amount of coverage you would have if you converted it at the end of the term. So those are just a few things I wanted to cover today. I'm going to end this video here, and like always, I wish you love, laughter, and life insurance. Until the next time, this is the neighborhood insurance lady, and I'm gone. Bye.